Have you ever played Mortal Shell? If not, you're really missing out, and here's why. Mortal Shell is a Souls-like game but very unique to itself, and shows a really cool perspective in the Souls-like genre. When you first start the game, you are thrown right into it with no idea of what's going on or what's your objective. You start out as a husk and wander through the abyss. Along the way, you find a blade and you learn how to use the weapon with tutorials. And with some trial and error, you soon become a master with the sword. Well, until you fight the first boss. Once you fight the first boss, you realize how weak you are in the world you've been thrown into. You awake in a swamp. When in the swamp, you find armor that your body possesses. After you possess the armor, you make your way through the swamp and find out if you take too much damage, you are knocked out of your armor. Once this happens, you must hurry back into your body or you become a one-shot to enemies and will most likely die. But through the swamp, you find a mysterious area with a girl inside that tells you about your character and how you have possessed someone's body. Once you learn that, with enough tar you can learn your character's name and different skills by leveling him up more. By getting tar, you have to kill enemies and collect items around the map. The enemies and bosses in this game are very cool and unique and fit a more gothic vibe and have a sense of despair and nothingness as you walk around. This works perfectly and immerses you more in the game and makes you want to learn more about the game. You enter many unique environments and along the way you find new weapons and new bodies to possess. The weapons are really unique in this game. There might not be that many, but they all have their own feel. Like the normal sword you get from the beginning is somewhat fast and does decent damage, while the hammer and the spike are faster attacking weapons but do a lot less damage. And other weapons like the mace are very slow but pack a lot of punch when you hit someone. Then you have the last weapon. It's a two-handed sword. It's slow but keeps your enemies away. The armor is very like Haro's. It's the starter armor, while Solomon is the upgrader, and Venerable is the tank, and Teal is the rogue. I won't be going too much in depth about the characters so that you can learn more about them yourself. Sadly, there is no type of multiplayer in this game, so you'll be running through the story by yourself. I wish there was multiplayer because this game would have fit perfectly with running around with someone and having the same experience as them. Sadly, all the experience is all to yourself, but the experience is very enjoyable and really worth your first playthrough, maybe even your second. The armor and the weapons bring you in and want you to play even more than you would expect it to do because there's only 4 different types of armor and 4 different types of weapons. But because the weapons feel so unique to themselves and have like different abilities, it brings you back in with more and more like attacks and different types of upgrades you can get for them. And same with the armor. There's so many different upgrades for your armor that make the weapons and armor so unique and make you want to try out different playthroughs with different types of armors and different types of weapons. Another thing I like about this game is the familiarity system. When you use certain items enough times, you start to learn more and more about them, and it actually makes them better over time. Like the healing mushroom. If you keep eating healing mushrooms, they do slow effects for healing of your character, but the more you eat, the faster it will be. Or even with your loot that you play. If you keep playing your loot, you end up getting better at playing your loot over time. Or glimpses, which is another currency in this game. If you keep eating enough glimpses, you'll end up getting more from eating them over time. Because of this familiarity system, I took a lot of risks later on, like with poisonous mushrooms. I decided to keep eating them to see what would happen, and your character ends up growing an immunity to any type of poison, so when certain enemies hit you with poison, it won't affect you in any way. Or other items that are negative, once you keep taking them, usually they'll have a better outcome over time. The game also has wonderful environments, like icy mountains, to ancient ruins where you want to learn more about the lore, or even different parts of the swamp. I would say more about it, but I'd rather let you guys experience it yourself. Another thing I found quite enjoyable was just grabbing your character's loot, sitting in a random area around the map, and just like taking in the environment around me. It just felt so enticing and pulling, like it made you want to stay and play more, even if there wasn't that many enemies, that many bosses or anything. It just felt short but sweet and straight to the point, and it worked perfectly in this game. This game had a very simple story, but it worked perfectly in this game. You meet this crow at some point in time in the game. After you kill one of the main bosses, you rip out this gland that they have, and you bring it to him, and he tells you about how he wants you to collect them all. So throughout the story, you're trying to collect these items for him. While there is a second ending, it's very short and simple to get. You just have to find it, which is really cool that they even had the idea of even having a second ending when the first one was already good enough. The last big thing in the game is this merchant that you meet, and he kind of just sells you wares and stuff, and it's pretty simple, not good stuff, but it's just a cool little feature to be added on. And same with after you finish one of the character's stories, you can actually buy items from the mysterious girl at the beginning, which has like cooler stuff like fast travel or other stuff that might come in handy depending on what type of playstyle you have. But that's going to be all from me today. If you liked the video, please consider leaving a like or subbing to the channel. And if you didn't, if you can leave a comment on how I can do better next time, I would appreciate that. But I'll see you guys next time. Later.